Recap very briefly on the initial campaign, and then why you came back and wanted to do this campaign to start with.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to start,
Okay.
Lenka?
All right. We initially worked with KC and Smooth Radio for an Australia Day promotion at the beginning of the year, and we were really impressed with the results that campaign achieved, how professional KC was and the whole team, the feedback we got, all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed in terms of everything they promised to give us at the beginning of the campaign they delivered on. And we thought it'd be quite a good idea to give them a different suggestion, a week-long live broadcast with Simon from South Australia. And we thought it was quite ambitious, and we thought we'd throw that idea to them and see what they could do with it. And they took it and ran with it, and it was a marathon of a run, and really, really successful, I think.
Yep. I think one of the other reasons why we chose Smooth as well is because it fits the Tourism Australia overall strategic plan in terms of audience levels and so forth. So Smooth was identified as one of very few radio stations that the country is actually looking to work with for activity in 2011. So that's why we naturally chose Smooth as well.
It ticks a lot of boxes in terms of working with you professionally and also delivering the audience that we're actually looking for.
Next, if we just want to move on to actually in Australia, and how did you guys as a business find working with Simon Bates and the team that we sent out? So just an overview of that.
I think sometimes working with celebrities, one can sort of be can be a double-edged sword. They come across very well to the public, but behind the scenes they can be quite difficult to work with. And happily, this wasn't the case. Simon was as charming on arrival in South Australia with everyone he met, not just the listeners he was introduced to, but everyone behind the scenes. He was charming, professional, and his main objective was to do the best broadcast that he possibly could to meet all the objectives, the criteria that we'd set. So it was just delightful, really, to work with him. And he didn't have that ego and that huge sort of a negative personality that you'd expect from someone with his calibre of experience and professionalism.
I think the other point to make as well is that he just really fitted into South Australia. We made a conscious decision to have the on-air shows throughout the state, so not just in one location, but some key areas that we really wanted to focus on. So we were able to fulfil that with Simon's great love of Australia and the destinations he went to, also with Kangaroo Island and in particular the Flinders Ranges. And the feedback was, as Jovanka said, overwhelming. And from our point of view, working with Simon, it was almost like, have I done enough for you? Which is actually quite nice for us, as Jovanka said, a celebrity to ask if they're doing enough for the state when mostly they're quite demanding. So we were very, very pleased. And both Seb and Simon and obviously the team in London have been fantastic. So, yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant. I wonder if you could just expand for us a little bit about your objectives and then think about the sort of platforms we put them over. So obviously we did the broadcast, we had promotional activity on air, but then we also had online activity in terms of conveying that imagery and the richness of South Australia to the audience in the best way on different platforms. I wonder if you could do 30 seconds about that. So
maybe like the diversity bit, how we had to cover all the different, the whining and the
whining and
to get that whole spectrum in.
Yep.
So essentially quite a broad mix of comms objectives, really, and how they were brought to life.
Right. Okay. The brief, as Janice said earlier, was to show the diversity of South Australia. So it was quite a challenge logistically and physically to actually get from Adelaide on one day to Kangaroo Island the next day, to the Barossa the next day, the Flinders Ranges on the next day. So we wanted to stress and highlight the diversity of South Australia to reach our target audience, which we perceived as being Smooth Radio listeners. And it's quite amazing how this was achieved. There's a wonderful photograph of Seb and Simon on Kangaroo Island on a beach just outside their hotel, Southern Ocean Lodge, sitting there with sort of a fold-up table, a laptop, and a microphone. And the clarity of the broadcast was amazing when you think they're broadcasting nationwide to the UK, and they've literally got this sort of a glass of wine, microphone, and a laptop, and they're achieving this wonderful broadcast. So it's just it's incredible what could be done. And talk about imagery, there was we tried to cover all the possible communication outlets that existed. So it's not just listeners on the radio; it's going through the website, it's sending out newsletters to people, getting people to blog, to text in. So I think we were trying to cover every communication avenue that was available to us through Smooth and through our own networks as well.
Yeah. And the positives that brought out as well from a local perspective is we were able to involve a lot of local operators. The UK is our number one source market in terms of visitors to South Australia. So to actually involve local operators and hoteliers, and for Simon and Seb to experience, I guess, real local hospitality rather than just a tourist would, has certainly come through the broadcasting. I mean, you can tell that Simon was very, very comfortable in the surroundings, and, that came through very strongly on radio, which was fantastic.
And it's good that there was a first as well, that the famous Our Tune was actually done for the first time with a guest in the studio, or the studio being Adelaide Central Markets, in the middle of town. So it was nice. We did a lot of firsts, which we're very proud of. That Adelaide was the first, South Australia was the first destination that was featured in this way by Smooth Radio on a national level. And for Simon to do this, and also another first with Our Tune being done live and face to face with the subject of choice for that day.
Do we need? Have you had any feedback from sort of your stakeholders, or is there anything we need from that? Because I think you've absolutely summed it all up already. To be fair,
Yeah.
Are you happy with?
Yeah, well, we were really inundated with lots of emails and
Yeah.
positive feedback, and there were people who were tuning in.
absolutely.
Actually, it was quite caused a bit of havoc in the office because broadcast time was sort of between 2 and 6 in daytime in Australia. So we had a lot of people in the office who were listening to the radio broadcast and really loath to pick up the phone when it was ringing and to do actually answer emails because they were wanting to listen to the broadcast and were hearing people that they knew being interviewed. But we had so much positive feedback. Everyone just saying it was just a delight to have them there. I think the whole office turned out to Adelaide Central Markets on the last day to see Simon and Seb and wish them well. I think everyone was quite sad when it was all over because it felt like a party, but no one was getting drunk or getting into sort of hangovers, or it was just one sort of nice level of good, feel good. And everyone was doing a good job and.
Yeah, and I think one of our marketing execs actually summed it up. He met Simon on Simon and Seb for lunch on the day that Simon flew in, and he actually called me the next morning and said, "I've just had lunch with Simon and Seb," and he said it was just like catching up with old friends. And I think that really summarises what everyone at SATC felt, that it was just working with an extension of a family. We got the messaging across. Everyone was easy to work with. Our Famils team, who have Famils coming through the office on a regular basis, just said it was one of the easiest and most, I guess, successful Famils that they've ever put together in terms of the itinerary, but just with the people that they worked with.
Especially considering the logistics, it was extremely difficult to do and challenging. However, the fact that everything was there was communication there was very good communication, and when they were there, they were just very easy for whatever we put up for them. So that made it easy, despite all the challenges that we had.
So we'd have them back.
Yeah, anytime.
That's absolutely perfect.
That's all super.
Let's get you out of the bright lights.